When we talk about Chrysler and its legendary muscle cars, it's mostly Charger, Challenger, Barracuda, and other legends that come to mind. But Chrysler is much more than that. With a rich history that doesn't just include iconic models like the aforementioned, but some pretty strange birds as well. How about the 1966 Dodge Coronet 4-door with Hemi engine? Or the bizarre Chrysler limousine built on a compact car platform? Let's take a look at some of the weirdest Chrysler cars you've probably never heard of. What makes these muscle cars so weird? Some featured extreme weight-saving techniques, others packed engines never intended for the frames, and a few were so rare that they've become automotive unicorns. The strangest part? Many of these cars were actually available to the public, if you knew the right dealer and had enough cash. Let's start the countdown. We'll start the list with something pretty unique, something that doesn't even belong to the golden era of muscle cars. Introduced in 1983, the Chrysler Executive is a fascinating car, but in a pretty bizarre way. Because in the downsized era, Chrysler took a small LeBaron platform and created something pretty impressive. The whole idea was to evoke the luxury of the old days. And if you're familiar with 1980s cars, you know that there was no word about 8 cylinders, especially not from a car that was mostly borrowing engines from Mitsubishi. It all started with the modest 2.6-liter inline-4, but later the company bought a 2.2 turbo 4, a slightly different kind of muscle than you would normally expect. But even such a small engine was capable enough to move this massive limousine, available both in 5 and 7-seat configurations. Today, we remember it as a pretty interesting attempt because this sedan was never able to hide its compact car origins, despite the size. Finally, the main reason why it made it to our list is its rarity, as just about 200 units were made in a 2-year run. It was a pretty awkward attempt at blending luxury and fuel efficiency, and, as you may presume, it didn't have a chance to succeed. Instead, we remember it as one of the strangest executive cars ever created by an American manufacturer. Now, let's go on and check some real muscles. Muscle cars were typically affordable, powerful but not exactly premium product. Logically, Chrysler tried to put these two things together. It all made perfect sense, but the outcome turned out to be a little bit weird, in a quite wonderful way. This model represents a unique collaboration between Chrysler and Hurst Performance, which resulted in a 1-year-only model that combined Chrysler's luxury with legitimate muscle car credentials. What made the Hurst 300 instantly recognizable was its striking white exterior with bold Sauterne gold stripes, a color combination that stood out dramatically from other muscle cars of the era. Unlike stripped-down performance machines, the Hurst 300 maintained all its luxury features while packing a punch under the hood. Power came from a massive 440 cubic inch V8, delivering 375 to 395 horsepower, depending on which source you believe. But the weirdest aspect of this muscle car was its limited production. Only 501 units were ever built. The Hurst 300 represents an unusual combination of full-size luxury and genuine muscle car power, appealing to buyers who wanted both prestige and performance in a single package. The Dodge Coronet might be one of the first sleeper cars of the American automotive industry, and that's how it earned the epitome of weird, because it was like nothing else from the Mopar muscle department back in the day. It looked pretty ordinary, like a typical 4-door sedan designed mostly for families. But under the hood, things were quite the opposite. Under the hood, there was the legendary 426 Hemi engine, officially rated at 425 horsepower. Not only that, this was pretty much the ultimate sleeper, ready to humiliate pretty much every performance muscle car of the era. But it was also extremely rare. Most sources suggest that no more than 5 examples were made, while some folks also suggest that a certain number was built for law enforcement agencies like the FBI. These Hemi-powered family sedans often lacked comfort features like air conditioning, power steering, and power brakes, all in the name of maximizing performance. This combination of practical four-door body with a race-oriented engine and minimal creature comforts makes the Coronet Hemi four-door one of the strangest factory muscle cars ever made. If you think modern factory drag cars are extreme, the 1968 Dodge Hemi Dart LO23 will blow your mind. This purpose-built, factory-created drag racer wasn't just weird, it was borderline unsafe for street use, despite being technically street legal. Created through a collaboration between Dodge and Hurst Performance, approximately 80 of these stripped-down machines were produced specifically for superstock drag racing. The LO23 started life as a basic dart body shell before being transformed with acid-dipped body panels, lightweight fiberglass components, and thin Chemcore side glass that couldn't even be rolled down. Under the hood lurked the racing version of the 426 Hemi, conservatively rated at 425 horsepower, but likely producing much more. What makes this car truly strange is how Dodge created a factory drag car that was technically street legal, but came with a disclaimer warning against street use. With no heater, no sound deadening, and no warranty, the Hemi Dart LO23 represented the most extreme interpretation of the muscle car formula, a barely disguised race car with license plates. What happens when you combine one of the most powerful production engines ever made with a body style designed for leisurely cruising? You get one of the rarest and weirdest muscle cars ever created, the Dodge Coronet RT Hemi Convertible. The 1969 model year saw only 10 of these drop-top beasts produced, but the 1970 version took exclusivity to an entirely new level with just 2 examples built. That's right, only 2 1970 Dodge Coronet RT Hemi convertibles exist on the entire planet. What makes these cars so strange isn't just their rarity. It's the seemingly contradictory combination of the race-bred 426 Hemi engine with the weight and flexibility disadvantages of a convertible body. These weren't built for practical reasons. They represent the extreme edge of muscle car excess, where performance met lifestyle in a combination so unusual that almost nobody ordered them. Today, they're among the most valuable Mopar muscle cars ever created, if you can find one. Lightning struck twice in the realm of weird Mopar muscle cars with the 1966 Dodge Coronet 440 convertible. While not as powerful as its Hemi counterpart, this convertible variant of the popular Coronet 440 is perhaps even more obscure, with only 6 units believed to have been produced. The 440 cubic inch V8 provided significant power, but what makes this car truly bizarre is how a relatively mainstream model could become so exceptionally rare simply through the combination of specific options. The Coronet 440 hardtop was a common sight, but add a convertible top, and the car transforms into one of the scarcest Mopars ever built. Even stranger is how these cars have remained in the shadow of their Hemi siblings despite their extreme rarity. It's the automotive equivalent of finding a unicorn hiding in plain sight. A car that should have been relatively common, but instead became an almost mythical creature in Mopar history. The Plymouth Barracuda is one of the most iconic muscle cars of all time, but have you ever heard of its ultra-rare Formula S convertible version? Only 83 units of these were produced, and that model featured convertible body style, of course, in combination with Formula S performance package. It was a strange but extremely desirable combination, one of the most interesting Mopar works we've seen. The Formula S package was famous because of its focus on handling, which wasn't exactly Barracuda's thing when we talk about the standard model. The car was typically equipped with a 383 Super Commando V8, along with heavy-duty suspension and other performance upgrades that completely transformed the Barracuda from a stylish pony car to a genuine performance machine. Finally, there's the matter of rarity. This car was completely overshined by better-known Barracuda variants. Hardcore enthusiasts would rather chase hardtop versions, so this model remained a kind of secret indulgence for the few who knew about their existence. Today, they represent one of the most overlooked performance convertibles of the muscle car era. Probably the weirdest Chrysler performance vehicle is the good old Turbine Car. Technically, it's not even a muscle car, considering the engine, which doesn't feature a conventional design with pistons, but rather a jet turbine power plant. We presume that's already enough info for you to conclude that not many of these were made. In numbers, just 55 units were made, but none of these were actually sold, but rather loaned to the public for testing. What made this car so bizarre was its power plant, a turbine engine that could run on almost any flammable liquid, from unleaded gasoline to tequila to Chanel No. 5 perfume. The engine created a distinctive jet-like whine instead of the traditional muscle car rumble, and it produced a maximum torque from a standstill, delivering unusual performance characteristics. The styling was equally strange for its time, with futuristic cues designed by Elwood Ingle, featuring turbine-inspired elements in the grille, taillights, and interior. Despite impressive performance and positive feedback from test drivers, most of these cars were destroyed after the program ended, with only 9 surviving today. While not a traditional muscle car, the Turbine Car represents the ultimate expression of Chrysler's willingness to experiment with performance and power delivery, creating perhaps the weirdest muscle car of all time, one powered by the same basic technology as a fighter jet. The muscle car era gave us many iconic vehicles, but these 8 weird Chryslers prove that sometimes the most interesting stories are found in the shadows of automotive history. From FBI-ordered Hemi sedans to turbine-powered experiments, these rare machines show us Chrysler's willingness to push boundaries and create some of the strangest and most collectible performance cars ever built. But what do you think? Did you know about any of these weird Mopars? Let us know in the comments which of these bizarre Chryslers surprised you the most. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.